everybody, welcome to the Blue Gem channel, and today we'll be doing a essay style video on the first 5 books of the Wings of Fire series. This is basically to celebrate the kind of popular new video that I posted about trying to find Jelly Bean on my, on my YouTube Shorts page. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so book 1, the Dragonet Prophecy, I have it right here, and it's basically about how the Dragonet's journey starts. A Dragonet is basically a child version of a dragon. So, before we do anything, we should probably go over the good old first prophecy right here. Here's the prophecy. When the war has lasted 20 years, the Dragonets will come. When the land is soaked in blood and tears, the Dragonets will come. Find the sea-wing egg of deepest blue, wings of night shall come to you. Largest egg in the mountain high will give to you the wings of sky. For wings of earth search through the mud for an egg the color of dragon blood. Hidden alone from the rival queens, the sandwing egg awaits unseen. Of 3 queens who blister and blaze and burn, 2 shall die and 1 shall learn. If she bows to a fate that is stronger and higher, she'll have the power of wings of fire. 5 eggs to hatch on the brightest night, 5 dragons born to end the fight. Darkness will rise to bring the light, the Dragonets are coming. Now that we have officially, actually started to get into the book, I will have to say, very, very big spoiler warning, because this is, the foundation of the entire series. There are currently, I believe 16 books, because of the brand new hybrid prints. So, yeah, let's get into it. The book starts with, the 3 guardians, Dune, Kestrel, and Webbs. There are, also, I feel like before we really get into it, I should mention all of the tribes. The tribes are the different kinds of dragons. There are 7 on this continent. The official pronunciation is Pyria. You hear that? Pyria. I will call it Pyra, though, because that's just how I pronounce it. So let's get into this. So, the first thing we see after the prophecy and all that is Dune, Kestrel, and Webbs gathering 5 eggs. As you probably heard in the prophecy earlier, the sea-wing egg, the wings of sky, the wings of earth, sand-wing egg, wings of night. These 5 are the Dragonets of Destiny, or the DODs, which you'll hear in the Wings of Fire Roblox RP. So, if we get into this, we have, of course, 4 of the eggs: the sandwing egg, the nightwing egg, the sea-wing egg, and the mudwing egg. Wings of night are for nightwings, and wings of earth are for mudwings. Dune is a sandwing, Kestrel is a skywing, and Webbs is a sea-wing, just letting you know. So, Webbs arrives with a rainwing egg, which is not the skywing egg like they're supposed to get, and he puts it with there because the mudwing egg is about to hatch. So, basically, Kestrel gets really, really mad because everyone thinks that rainwings are lazy and stupid. We'll get more on that later. So, skip ahead 6 years when they're, 6 years old. Clay's doing fighting, but let's get to the actually important parts. They meet Marosir, who is the creator of the prophecy, basically the leader of the Talons of Peace, which is the group that all the Guardians belong to. And basically everyone wants to escape their little cave prison. I forgot to mention it. They're in a cave, and they're apparently supposed to be there until they're pretty much 9 years old, when the war has lasted 20 years. So, or 8 years old, I forgot. So, pretty much, they all really want to escape. Starflight is the night. Alright, I forgot to go over the names. The Mudwing is Clay. The Sea-wing is Tsunami. The Rainwing is Glory. The The Nightwing is Starflight, and the Sandwing is Sunny. They all want to leave and find their parents, and of course fulfill the prophecy and, basically not really solve, but end the war. So basically, a lot of different things go on with them trying to escape, but eventually they think because Mudwings can go and breathe underwater for up to an hour at a time, and that Clay should go into this tunnel and see if he can exit through there. So he does it, he leaves, and he gets out of the cave. Then he finds Tsunami, they fly around, Clay finds Mud, then they run into this scavenger, which is a human. And he drops a bunch of treasure, they ask if they can keep all this, and then the Skywing, embedded in jewels, appears, and her name is Queen Scarlet of the Skywings. So, Tsunami makes a distraction, and they get back. So, they try and move the entrance boulder, and it does, it opens. So the Dragons of Destiny are free, but Queen Scarlet tracks them there and finds them. They're chained up and brought to the Sky Kingdom. A few minor inconveniences happen, like, Dune getting his neck snapped, basically. This is supposed to be a children's series. It has a lot of death in it. I'd say you should at least be, around 3rd grade to maybe think about reading it, but I think this is more of a book for older kids. Not saying you can't read it. Like Odd Ones Out said in his Warrior Cats video. Not gonna judge you on what kind of books you read, because I live in a glass house. So Clay is on a bunch of different. He's on a podium, like every single other prisoner in Scarlet's palace, and he's over an arena. Peril, the Queen's champion, gives Clay a rabbit to eat, and then he asks a bunch of stuff about fighting, and basically what happens is eventually he's brought out to fight Fjord, the Ice. Yes, his name is pronounced Fjord. The crowd starts cheering, and eventually Clay burns out the Ice Wing's frost breath, and he wins the fight because this weird venom shoots out and it burns Fjord, and it's not really the most calming scene. Yeah, you gotta read the graphic novels to figure that out. But then later, Peril comes back and heals him. He has a bunch of weird dreams. And then there's a bunch of other inconveniences, we'll call them. And eventually, we meet Queen Burn. You might have heard in the prophecy of 3 queens who blister and blaze and burn. This is one of them. This is Burn. She is with Queen Scarlet. They are teamed up in the war. They are also and Burn is also with the Mudwings. So, what they do is they basically trap the Dragonets of Destiny. Peril lets them out, but she tells Queen Scarlet because Peril has a crush on Clay. So, then they end up not escaping, and Scarlet wants them to fight each other. But eventually, a twist comes where they will not fight each other. So, they bring out a starving, sleep-deprived, dehydrated sea wing named Gil, who has gone fully mad because he didn't want to fight. This is what Scarlet does to her prisoners. This is how evil she is. So yeah, they start attacking each other, but after Tsunami has pinned him down, and he's ultimately given up, Tsunami tries to convince Scarlet to stop, to stop her from needing to kill Gil, because, you know, not only do they not want to kill anybody, but Gil is another Sea Wing. But of course, it's violent. So she ends up killing Gil. The reason why I wanted to point this out is because this is a very important part in the series. More on that later. Okay, so now we have gotten to the point where Tsunami has, like, snapped Gil's neck, killed him, and then Scarlet says it's very disappointing. So they decide then that she decides she will make Tsunami fight Starflight. So basically what happens is Marosir and a bunch of his Nightwings fly down and try to take Starflight, and the Towns of Peace just say, no, this is our Nightwing, our team, we have to take this Nightwing with us. And then they say they want the Nightwing to fight the Ice Wings because it's, you know, her hatching day, her birthday. And he goes, those Ice Wings? Very well. And then his team, you know, uses their knowledge of how to kill people, like how to kill dragons. And, you know, just kills them all in 3 seconds. So they take Starflight, and then it's revealed that Glory, who is asleep on this, like, weird plant, she comes back alive, not alive, but, like, it turns out she wasn't permanently asleep or dead or anything. She was pretending. So she wakes up, breaks out of her chains, and this is very, very, very important for the series. She uses her secret venom, she's apparently the one who killed Fjord. She shoots her venom to kill Burn. So she shoots it at Burn, but Burn takes Scarlet and flicks her in the way so that it hits Scarlet's eye. So then she starts screaming. Everyone's screaming. Everyone's going, "Oh my God, she's dead!" So, and then they figure out that she was faking it, and yeah, so they're all freed. Sunny's free. They find Kestrel, who's apparently Peril's mother. So that happens. They escape, of course. They get all the way down to the bottom and figure out, hey, we're really close to Clay's home, Clay's family, which is at the Diamond Spray Delta. So they do that, and, well, let's see what happens. So, after they figure out that they're really, really, really close to where Clay is supposed to be, they start going that direction, through the river, over the river, beside the river. They eat food, they keep going, and then they find this battle scene. Very, very gory. Closest dragon is a very colorful picture of an Ice Wing being stabbed. This is all in the past. And then Glory decides that she's going to go with Clay because she can apparently change her scales to look like a Mud Wing. So that's what she does, and they go into the Mud Wing town nearby. And they ask an old Mud Wing, and they find, you know, a bunch of other Mud Wings and stuff. Of course, it's the Mud Wing village. So they find a bunch of these, like, you know, I don't really know where to, like, how to describe it. It's like almost like a floor termite hill. That's their, like, house. So apparently, so they say that they're looking for Cattail at one of them, where they're told she is, because that's Clay's mother. So they go up to it. A orangish brown Mudwing appears, says it's a bunch of a few Dragonets. Then they ask if she's Cattail, and she says, yes, that's you, that's me. Then Clay says that he's her son, and she goes, So yeah, and they don't really care, and she doesn't really care because apparently she sold the egg for, 2 cows. And yeah, it was it was a bunch of stuff. And it's like, tell the towns of peace that they can't have their cows back because we ate them. Like cattail. Like, do you think that the towns of peace expect you to not have eaten cows over the 6 years you had them? Okay, whatever. So Clay finds out that his siblings, he has a bunch of siblings, and they find out, and they really like Clay. They really love him. They want to spend more time with him. He tells them that he has to go solve the war. Then they'll live together. Maybe. They tell them that in that giant battle scene, one of those people, one of the dragons that was killed, was his sister named Crane. So they get back, Starflight's back, and then he figures out all the stuff that he's good at. He's immune to fire. He's got a bunch of really good traits. And here's the twist. Here's at the epilogue. We're already at the end of book 1, yeah. And basically, it's showing the towns of peace and the other sister, one of the other sisters, Blister. She is with Marosier. She is not officially, teamed up with the Nightwings. The Nightwings and the Rainwings aren't in the war. But the Nightwings are planning on joining the war on Blister's side. So Kestrel shows up and tells them the bad news that the Dragonets have escaped. So, the fact that Blister is fully evil and very smart, apparently, she stabs her sandwing thorn-like scorpion tail into Kestrel, and she dies. So now Webbs is the only living guardian, and we end book 1 on that. Alright, let's go into book 2 now. Book 2 is The Lost Heir. We already went over the prophecy. The prologue isn't too important. It's just showing Tsunami reading the missing princess, which is her favorite scroll ever. That's not very important. So they get to the ocean, the edge of the ocean. They find the sand, and then what they do is they explain the palaces, and they find a skywing, a bunch of skywings in the sky, thinking that the skywings are looking for them because they escaped. So they all find hiding spots. Tsunami's in the ocean, and there's one who thinks that they think that he saw Sunny. Well, Tsunami thinks. So she goes up, she attacks him, and he ultimately just breathes fire on her and leaves a very big scar on her neck. It's not very important. Clay saves them. They don't kill the Skywing, thankfully. And there's this really funny thing where Clay is just using his fist and bonking the chest, and then Gloria's like, "What are you doing?" And then Clay's just thumping and just going, fixing him? So yeah, this is why it's my favorite series ever. So, Tsunami wants to get away from them and just goes deep down, seeing if she can finds a sea wing. And she does. She finds this one. There's really no way to she finds out about the whole flashing and stuff. Not that kind of flashing, they have light up scales and they light it up to talk underwater. She doesn't know that though. They find Pink. Then they meet him. He says his name is Riptide. They explain everything. Starflight gets really excited because there's a school and he loves scrolls. So yeah, Riptide says they all need to be blindfolded. So they go in blindfolded. They find a bunch of other things. Then they find Shark. Tsunami. I forgot to tell you, but Tsunami in book 1, she found out she is royalty, and that her mother is the queen of the sea wings, also known as Queen Coral. So her brother is Shark. Shark is the guard, the main guard, and I think he's like the like thing of communications or something. I don't really know, but he says something in their like language and stuff, their light up language. They go into this place called the Summer Palace, the Above Water Palace. They find Queen Coral. They say everything, and apparently Coral says the exact same thing that the queen says in The Missing Princess. It even shows the little clip there, and it shows. And Tsunami thinks that she's the only living daughter because all of Queen Coral's daughters, got before they were born. Like I said, it's a very not PG series, to say the least. And she finds out that there's this little 1-year-old dragonet, Princess Anemone. So she finds out, she's very sad about it. And then everyone's like, "Oh my god." Then it tells everything like they introduce themselves. They tell that they say like, "Webs, where is Webs? I hate webs," and stuff. And then she realizes that there's a mudwing. She's like, "Why is there a mudwing here?" So they do that. They explain how they got there. Then there's a feast. Well, actually, they get into the. You know what? Let me just say something before that. So apparently, Tsunami is attacked in a tunnel, but before that, a lot of things happen that I keep forgetting to mention. She talks to Anemone. Turns out that Anemone hates their mother because she keeps her like stuck in stuff. And turns out that Orca was the first daughter of Coral, and she challenged Coral for the throne when she was only 7, and she died because one of them dies and the survivor becomes queen or stays queen. And then so Anemone tells the story. They find Shark, and apparently something really, really, really upsetting happens. They have a council meeting, and they talk about a dead Skywing, but that's not the problem. They talk about 2 guards who are attacked, tell them about a bunch of attacks and stuff, and then Queen Coral mentions Gil. If you remember in book 1, she Tsunami kind of killed Gil. So that happened. And then she says that he is dead. Everyone freaks out, and then here's the twist. Tsunami asks, was he like an important guard or something? And then Coral says, "More than that, much more. He was my husband. Tsunami, Gil was your father." So that's pretty bad. Pretty bad, you could say. Tsunami starts self-loathing herself. She literally killed her father. Then Whirlpool, the most smug idiot ever, might I add, tries and brings her to a lesson. Doesn't say anything, doesn't show her anything. And then he starts yelling at her because she complains, saying she didn't learn anything, because she didn't. Then she goes out and finds this like little cave, and then Riptide finds her, and they definitely like each other. They definitely really like each other. And Riptide tells her like all the important things of aquatic. So that happens, and then they figure out that Shark gave a signal when they arrived at the Summer Palace that literally said, Not right now. We'll finish later. So Tsunami gets really scared. She runs back. She's like attacked in the tunnel on the way there. So she uses Sunny's escaping strategy, and it works. And then they get out. She can't see anything though. So yeah, Tsunami can't see anything. And then what happens eventually is, just they try and find a bunch of things. Like they try and find Shark. I don't really know what happens specifically though. Oh yeah, they go and find the eggs. They go to find the eggs. Oh yeah. Tsunami tells Coral that she was attacked, and they think that the eggs are going to be in danger. They go into the hatchery at the Deep Palace. They see the guard eating an octopus. They go right in though, and it's like there's a giant green statue of Orca. Remember, Queen Coral's first daughter, and there's a bunch of podiums on the side, and each one has an egg in it. And one of them is destroyed, but the other isn't. So Tsunami takes the egg and leaves with it to, get back and shield the egg so that it doesn't, die. So so she signals Riptide, gets him to follow her, and then they find out that all the Dragonets of Destiny besides Tsunami are chained. Well, Clay's chained in a, in a cave that's that's starting to flood. So they do that. She gives Sunny the egg because she's warm, and then they go and try and get the key for Clay's chains. And then Tsunami gives this giant speech, and then she gets the key, and she frees. Then they go over. She frees Clay. They go up to the room above them, and then they go over a bunch of basically all their suspects. That's not too important. And then in the morning, they all wake up, and Blister and Coral are in the cave because Blister's teamed up with the Sea Wings. So apparently they went into Blister's cave to shield Clay and all the others from the flooding. After that, they're taken to a royal breakfast, where, of course, Clay is nomming everything down. And it says that, and then they say all about how Snail and Herring, the ones that had the key, and Tsunami got the key from, how they're safe and stuff. And then it's then they start talking about, Kestrel. They find out, and then Sunny, of course, breaks out, starts crying, because she really cares about the people who took care of them. And they demonstrate their secret weapon to Tsunami after. Apparently, Anemone is an animus. You may not know what that is, though. An animus is a dragon with not supernatural, but superpowers, basically. They can use their mind to control objects, but there is a cost. Every single time they use their magic, it takes away a part of their soul. And that's not good, because, kind of need their soul. And then Anemone tells the story about Albatross. Albatross was an ancient, prince from 2,000 years ago, place called Darkstalker's time. We'll get more on that in the second arc. And, the Legends books. Well, I haven't read the second one, so just the Darkstalker, like the Darkstalker time, which I'll definitely make a video about that. I love that time. It's like, I love learning about history in this franchise. So, apparently, he built the pavilion, the Summer Palace. He used his magic all the time. It turned him evil, and he killed, I believe, like 9 dragons or something, including the queen. Like I said, get more on that in Darkstalker's time. So, they find webs in the top. He's like all sad and stuff. So, they all die. So, no, not what I meant to say. I meant he finds out his wife died, which isn't really too bad because she's not important. And then they try convincing Coral that Webs kind of saved Tsunami, because if he hadn't taken her, she would have been destroyed. So that doesn't really matter. They find Riptide and find out, like, apparently he's Webs' son. Webs is Riptide's father, and they're both thrown in jail. And now, Tsunami is with the egg in the royal hatchery, trying to protect it and find out what's going on. So, they hear a scraping sound, look over, and turns out Orca's statue is alive. And it's been what's killing all of the eggs and the dragonets. So, there's a giant fight scene. Apparently, it sees and it basically senses, using its sense of taste. And Tsunami does everything in her power to not let it take the egg or destroy the egg or anything. So they start fighting, and then, don't worry, eventually the statue, like the soul in it, kind of dies. And here's the thing. In a crazy event, the egg hatches, revealing a tiny little green dragonet. But there is a weird error where in one single frame, like in one panel, it shows the egg without its little dark green swirls, and it's just like a little pale green egg. So, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is the spear used to, like, basically paralyze and kind of kill the dragon, like the dragon statue. It all, like, it apparently breaks and the dragon comes back alive, but like a few seconds later it freezes again and it's like dead. So what they do is then it clips to them just playing on with the dragonet on the beach, and yeah. So apparently they find out that Orca was the one who enchants the statue to kill all the dragons, because if she became queen, she didn't want any heirs. And then they pick the name for the dragonet, which they choose auklet for, because an auklet is a kind of seabird. So it works out, and yeah, they eventually the Dragonets of Destiny are thrown in prison. I can't really explain why, but it's like, instead of bars and stuff, they're on a little stone island in the middle of like a tiny little pond. And this little pond has small waterfalls going down, and you might think that's not too bad, they could just walk out. Well, no, because the water is infested with electric eels, which bzz the water and pretty much kill you. So, yeah. And, like, they make this kind of funny joke where they're like, what if we just melt the guard's eyeballs out with Glory's magical death spit? It's not magical death spit, like Glory says, and it's just like, we are not calling it that. So that happens, And then the same thing happens with Tsunami that happens with Clay, where she's like, she doesn't want to go away from her family. But here's the thing. Anemone, what she does is she tries to use her animus magic to find out who attacked Tsunami in the water, like going into the Summer Palace. And turns out it's Whirlpool, the dumbass instructor. So yeah, that happens, and then he gets pretty much whacked and pushed into the electric eels, and he gets bzzed. He dies. Yeah, he dies. And then eventually Tsunami just jumps out because the eel's electricity doesn't work for a while after they just killed an entire dragon. And then yeah, they free Riptide and Webs, and then they exit the thing to find out that the canopy is burning, and Skywings are attacking using bombs, cactus bombs. That's not too important. They get into this giant fight scene. They escape. So yeah, they kill one of the Talons of Peace because they're old and evil and stuff. And they escape, and then the Talons of Peace find out about the entire burning and stuff. And that's the end of book 2. So yeah, let's find out what happens in book 3, The Hidden Kingdom. So yeah, in here we are in book 3 already. There's 5 books, as previously mentioned. And so what happens here is we find the Dragonets of Destiny just calmly wandering. Oh yeah, first, forgot to mention, apparently the Talons of Peace set up a substitute set of Dragonets. Just in case the first one went wrong. All born nearby the Brightest Night, which is when they were all born the same day. And there's Fate Speaker, the delusional Nightwing who keeps thinking she has visions and stuff, because the Nightwings of old had visions and like mind reading and stuff, but she claims she has it. The Wimp Sea-Wing, the extremely violent Skywing, and Sandwing, and Ocker, which is just, of course, the dim, a bunch of eating everything, but whatever. So apparently Webbs got stabbed by Blister, and they're walking through the forest, the rainforest, trying to find the Rainwing so that they can heal the poison. So what happens is they go through, they find out that there's a weird monster killing everything. So they gotta stick together. They find, like 3 of them disappear. So Starflight hides and Glory tries facing it. And then they find, 2 Rainwings. They find out that their friends were just tranquilized. They're completely fine. Then they're toward of the Rainwing village. They find out that what happens. So eventually, they find out that that Rainwings are actually extremely lazy, and they do this thing called Sun Time. And Sun Time is where they just sleep for a certain amount of time. But that's not very important. They do that. They wake up. Apparently, Glory is Jambu. Jambu and Glory, they are siblings. Jambu is one of the dragons that they find when they enter the village. Shoot my book, no. So yeah, that happens. Then, after Sun Time, Glory wakes up to find out that a sloth wants to be her pet, and it's already clinged on her and all that stuff. So after that, they go and they try and find the queen. So the queen can answer a bunch of questions. So they get in. They start waiting in line because they have their own ways. And apparently, the queens switch every few months, I guess. So there's a bunch of different queens, and Glory ends up. So eventually, when they get into where the queen is, apparently it's Magnificent, the annoying, smug, doesn't actually care about anything kind of queen. She finds out about webs, doesn't really care, just says, just go over to the frickin' healer's hut. It's like the red berries, I think. So they go over there, and they try and get him healed, but they also find a dead sloth, and they want to wait by the. So they take a detour at when going back from the healer's hut after dropping webs off there, and they find Mangrove, one of the rain wings that Glory found, and he's trying to gather fruits. So they go with him, and they find, like I said before, a dead sloth, well, a dying sloth, and they find a tunnel where they think the person who killed the sloth came from. So Glory and Clay decide to stay there overnight. They do it. They hear a bunch of eating, and then Glory's sloth Silver gets scared. So in the morning, what they do is they go through the tunnel, and apparently through the tunnel is the Sand Kingdom, which is apparently on the other side of the world. It's pretty far, but like on the other side of the continent, I should say. But yeah, they're in the Sandwing place, and they see Burn's stronghold in the distance, and then they go back through. They find out, and they talk a lot. They eventually all go out into the Sand Kingdom. Sunny's extremely excited about it. And yeah, so they do that. They go and they try and find other things. Like, they try and search. I don't really remember what they're trying to search for, though. So, oh yeah, they're trying to go to the Ice Kingdom to find Blaze. Blaze is the third sister. They give a whole, like informational thing on what the sisters are, what started the war and stuff. So, I'll mention that when it comes up later, because it comes up later. They find a tiny, little, steaming hut thing, brick hut. And, but instead of going in, Glory finds a Nightwing. So she goes over there disguised as an Icewing, and talks to the Nightwing, and apparently his name is Deathbringer, and he's waiting for people. So she ignores that, goes back, and in the morning, Jambu disguises as an Icewing along with Glory to go check out that weird brick place. Well, not brick, stone place. So they decide to go in. They find Blaze. They talk to her. She's as delusional and weird as they thought. She's talking about a bunch of hosting a party and stuff. So yeah, they do that. Apparently Deathbringer attacks Blaze, trying to kill her. It doesn't work. Hope you know that. So eventually they leave the Ice Kingdom, and then they talk to Mangrove to find out that the monster is actually Deathbringer. Deathbringer sneaking into the rainforest and attacking everyone. So she ties him up, and then she leaves to find out where well, actually, no, they don't. Deathbringer isn't the monster. I forgot. So Glory uses him as she ties him up, and she goes to find the monster. So after a bit of wandering off alone, she gets wonked on the head, and tied up in a bag and sent down a giant tunnel. She's like, this isn't the Sandwing Tunnel. So that happens, and she hears a bunch of voices, and she wakes up in like a stone prison, like a cave prison, with lava surrounding it. Apparently, the Nightwings are trying to experiment, to say the least, with Rainwing venom. Glory waits for feeding time, where she uses her venom to attack all the Nightwing guards, and they all run away, giving her enough time to leave with Kinkajou, one of the other prisoners and the missing dragons, to go back into the rainforest with clay and stuff. So they try guarding. Glory decides she wants to become the queen of the Rainwings. So she challenges Magnificent and apparently all the rest of them. So Kinkajou and Glory practice all the fruits and stuff in the rainforest. She takes sun time and has a dream from Scarlet. We all thought that Scarlet was dead after, being shot in the eye by venom. But apparently she's not, and is trying to find Glory once she's freed of the prison that she's in. Well, we'll find out more about that in the future. So, all right. So the next day they challenge. Well, not next day, just later. They get the challenge. Kinkajou explains why all of the queens are weird and not really good at, doing their job. So, Magnificent reveals that the challenges are venom targeting, flower hunt, treetop race, fruit gathering, and because they're Rainwings, it's a camouflage competition. Might I add that Glory knew that this is what Magnificent would do. Try and make her pick her friends as her 4 teammates. And then they're going to make the challenges be all things that only Rainwings can do. So she predicted that, chose 4 Rainwings. I believe they are Jambu, Kinkajou, Mangrove, and Tamarin. Tamarin is Kinkajou's blind friend. So they do that. One of the older dragons explains all the rules. They take all of the things, all their places. Jambu's doing the treetop race. Tamarin is doing the flower hunt, because she knows flowers a lot, even though she's blind. And then Kinkajou's doing the targeting, the venom targeting. And Mangrove is apparently a fruit gatherer, so he takes that position, and Glory does the camouflage. So the fruit gatherers start their challenge. They have 1 hour to collect as many fruits as possible, and the treetop race starts. Jambu is in the lead because of Exquisite, the queen in this challenge. Her wingspan is extremely big. She's extremely big. So Jambu, gets ahead of her. But then sloths drop a net on Jambu to slow him down and tie him up, and Exquisite ends up winning. And apparently there's nothing in the rulebook that prevents that. So the flower hunt starts. Fruit Bat, the queen that ends up doing that challenge, starts doing a whole bunch of running around, sniffing, and all, while Tamarin is just standing there. She does one single sniff, and she darts towards a flower table and finds the flower they were trying to hunt. The rare orange it's the rare majestic cinnamon orchid, but the orange one, which is extremely rare apparently. So Tamarin finds it. Glory's team wins. They do the camouflage. Glory's blindfolded because Magnificent's hiding. And Glory reads the room to figure out that all the kids are looking at one specific area, and it's a fruit shop. And the fruit shop is where Magnificent's hiding in the fruits. So they go back. Glory sprints up the tree, and of course, Magnificent cheats and scares Silver, the sloth that Glory owns. So the Silver runs up and clings to Glory, and Magnificent wins. 'Cause of course she does. So, and then the person who's the referee, basically, his name is Handsome. He's like, there's nothing in the rules that prevents that. So she is winning, officially, if not in spirit. So they skip ahead. So they go, and the fruit gatherers are back. So let's figure out who won the fruit gathering. So for the fruit gathering, it was, I believe, Dazzling versus Mangrove. So they come back. Mangrove has Mangrove has 17. Then they count Dazzling's fruit, and she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 fruits. I was reading the text. I didn't actually count them. And 17 to 16, Mangrove wins. Magnificent is crashing out, though, saying, going over to Dazzling and yelling, "You ate some of them! I know there were 19 in there when I..." And then everyone starts gasping, going, "What did you just say?" So yeah, apparently, Magnificent cheated again, and for the next one, the venom shooting, the final one, it's Grandeur, I believe how you pronounce it, and it's Kinkajou. So a very old queen versus a very young 3-year-old. Who do you think's winning? So yeah, of course, Grandeur, whenever you're ready. They don't finish the sentence because she just spits and lands. I don't know how long, but to the end of the ruler thing. And then it's like, so yeah, that's impressive. And then it's Kinkajou's turn. She doesn't even do half of that. Does maybe about 2 feet versus 10. So there's the targeting part, and then it's Kinkajou's really sad. Then it's targeting. Of course, Grandeur wins again. And then it's Kinkajou's turn. She does it too. And Grandeur's like, yeah, that's really good. Good job. Good job, little one. And then Grandeur is about to hit a sloth, even though the sloth is a foot away and a foot above, and she is very old and has very good aiming. But instead of that, Kinkajou jumps in the way and gets hit by Grandeur's venom. So she knocks the sloth out of the way and everything, and she gets hit by the venom. Congratulations, Kinkajou. You're in extreme pain because you were just shot by an elderly one. So, yeah, she goes crazy, and then Grandeur doesn't know who she's related to. Glory takes a very, very big risk, and, well, not really, because she shoots the venom on the venom target, and it cancels out, meaning that she is Grandeur's, great niece or something, great niece or something. So we don't really know, and Glory drips some venom on a leaf and then puts it on Kinkajou, which I don't really know how the venom doesn't go through the leaf. So it works, and then Kinkajou's all good. And Glory's like, well, no one really cares that I'm related to you. And then Grandeur reveals something. She says, well, I do, because it means you're a descendant from the original line of queens. apparently she was one of the original Rainwing Queens from long ago. And she was not the last one worthy. But all the queens eventually became lazy, and they started just making it so that multiple queens had turns. So, and they pretty much like lost track of the family tree, and they wanted to find queens in spirit, not in blood. So Grandeur is pretty much touched, and she forfeits, and Kinkajou wins. Magnificent, of course. Oh my god, what are you doing? You don't know anything about this Dragonet. You're so stupid, Grandeur. So, yeah, that happens, and then Grandeur's like, I know she'll be a better queen than you. So that happens, and yeah, they win. Glory's Queen Glory, and that's the end of book 3. Or is it? Because apparently Starflight is gone, and he's dragged onto the Nightwing Island, and Fate Speaker, the delusional Nightwing substitute, sees him. So she realizes, I'm pretty sure he's part of my destiny. And that is the true end of book 3. So now we're on book 4, and this one is called The Dark Secret. It's Starflight's book. So today we are on, Starflight is, of course, as previously mentioned, on the Nightwing Island. He is asleep right now, and he is woken up by a bunch of water. Apparently there's a bunch of Dragonets come to see him, and one, I believe her name is Fierce Teeth, said, Drat, thought it was dead, which, I don't know why. Mars here is giant, just letting you know. He's like very, very, very big. He's like 3 times the size of a regular dragon, and he's in like the dormitory. All the Dragonets are very skinny, and Marcier drags him into a royal council meeting, and it's all the Nightwing Council just arguing about what to do with him, but no one can see the queen. There's just her daughter, which is who I believe her name is Greatness. So that happens, and apparently they find Deathbringer has been imprisoned. And this was by an uninvited Nightwing, I believe. So her name is Vengeance. So she tries going on this giant rant about how Deathbringer is evil and he's teaming with the good guys. So she's irritated. So Vengeance is irritating Queen Battlewinner and is thrown in the lava. Very children's book. Yup. Tui T. Sutherland, the author of the story. Why isn't this, children? Like, why isn't this, like, I understand that you can't make a Dragon War story be extremely, like, all happy adventures, but, like, do we have to have it be this gory? Just saying, if, like, maybe boost the rating up to be, like, 10 and up, and then that'll make it more sense. Like, it's alright, so ignore that. So apparently there's so little food on the island that everyone has separate times to eat, and that's why everyone's so skinny, except for Maros here, because he is an exception. He's exceptionally important for the future of the tribe, so he can hunt whenever he wants. He finds it, finds some food. They eat the giant albatross that he found, and has a question, and Starflight finds out who his father is and goes to see him. he runs into Fate Speaker. As previously mentioned, she likes Starflight. And they find Mastermind, Starflight's father. And it's like, because there's 3 moons, it's like, instead of saying, oh my god, they say 3 moons. So when he finds out that Starflight's his son, he's like, my son? 3 moons, I have a son. And he's like, oh my god. Finds out that, Starflight finds out that his father is a giant nerd like him. And the one experimenting on Rainwing Venom. They find Orchid. Orchid is Mangrove's mate. And he's extremely sad that she was, taken by Nightwings. He didn't know that, though. She just went missing. And they find out, that she turned pink when she got really happy. And Starflight's father's, kind of evil. And he's like, how did you make her turn that color? I've never seen that color before. And then he's like, because it's the color of happiness, you monster. Well, he says in his thoughts, though, so. It's like, he shows the battle helmet that's immune to Raining Venom. And he's like, he starts, I don't really know, but Starflight's introduced to the substitute Dragonets. And they believe that they're the Prophecy 5 and stuff. And and all of the substitutes, that apparently they could all be replaced. And they're like, and Marcy's like, well, Starflight could easily be replaced by Fate Speaker and stuff. So yeah, that's the weird part. And it's all like, and everyone's like, wait, replace Fate Speaker? We can do that? And even the really shrimpy and scared Sea-Wing is like, can I be the one to shove her off the cliff? Which I think is just very funny. And then Flame, the Skywing, is like, Marcyr tells Flame, is like, you may all be replaced except Flame. And he's like, ha, don't you all forget it, ha, I'm superior and stuff. So they go out to do training by the lava. They do a bunch of, and apparently Marcyr wants everyone to chase down and try and kill Starflight. So he runs into one of the caves where Rainwing's being held, and he's upside down, and he's like, and the guard's like, hey, what are you doing here? It's like, I'm here to see the Rainwing. And he's like, why? School project? Ha, mastermind. He's always got to do live seeing and stuff. So it's, so Starflight hides at the bottom of the pit, and Fate Speaker comes over saying she's not going to kill him. And then, they both get credit, and Starflight's like, and Marcyr's like, hey, Starflight, that was pretty good hiding. I mean, not the route I would take it, but yeah, it's still pretty good. So Starflight, and Fate Speaker that night go down into the burnt out part of the palace, destroyed by lava, and Starflight finds a dream visitor. A weird blue diamond. Blue gem. And he's, and he has to hide it because he wants to keep it, because he wants to be able to use it to see his friends in their dreams. So he hides it in his mouth. They go back up, and he tries to dream visit Kinkajou because she's always asleep. But instead she ends up, not having a dream, so he can see the world around her. And then eventually, Marcyr wakes him up, and they fly all the way out to the mainland because they're on a weird Nightwing island. And they try to convince a Nightwing outpost, a Skywing outpost, that they should swap their sides from burn to blister. But something funny is that when they walk in, a bunch of the guards are playing like poker or something. So that's kind of funny. I didn't even know that there were cards in there. So eventually they fail on convincing them, and then Starflight makes a promise, and of course all the Nightwing guards barge in, kill all the Skywings, and they go back to the island. But before that, Squid, the Sea Wing, is exiled, basically, because he's too much of a wimp. And then they go back to sleep. And the next day, actually, something kind of funny happens in his dreams, where he's like, all the scrolls have all the answers, like how to free Rainwing prisoners. Why is it blank? Secrets of the Nightwings. Here's what I need. Blank. And he's like, I know this one's blank. And it says how to tell Sunny I love her, because he likes Sunny. And it's kind of funny, so him and Fade Speaker end up following Flame when he wakes up, so apparently Flame is trying to get assassin practice from Deathbringer, because he's an assassin. Eventually they end up leaving, they go back, and then Starflight tries going into the library, but Fate Spirit is like, you can't go in there yet, we have to see the queen. So they try and find the queen. They end up finding her, but they don't see her. They see a lava pit. But emerges from the lava pit is Queen Battle Winner herself, a giant dragon. A dragon who lives in the lava. And apparently she can only do it because an ice wing blew frost breath into her throat, and it froze her throat. Which means that she's able to survive in lava, but if she leaves, she freezes up. So, basically, Starflight and Fate Speaker make them mad, so she says leave. So they leave, but here's the thing. They try and dream visit everyone. Clay is just dreaming about eating. And then Tsunami is she's having a nightmare about killing her father. And then Sunny's like flying, and it's like not really anything bad or anything, but then he finds Glory. And then Glory is like, you actually found the dream visitor. And she's like, so they talk and all that. Eventually, this is where they're actually put into training, like fight training at lava. So what happens is they try fighting. Then it's Fate Speaker, Flame, and Viper, the Sandwing, all fighting, and Viper's about to kill Fate Speaker when Starflight like bangs into her, and Viper starts tumbling towards the lava. And she scrapes Flame's eye and then falls in the lava and dies. So, Mars here is extremely worried about Flame because he's like, you cannot die. You legally cannot die. You are only freaking Skywing that we can use, because all the rest of them died. Then Starflight finds out that none of them were actually born on the Brightest Night, and they're not actually qualified. And eventually there isn't, apparently Starflight lost the Dream Visitor when he gets back to his room, but Mastermind finds him, and Mastermind brings him to the library, where they're both nerding out and stuff. But eventually, Starflight has to go back and find the Dream Visitor, and this is where he realizes it's gone. He rips his pillow in half. It's gone. And then he finds out, and then him and Fate Speaker go and try and find Flame. And then turns out that he's in the hospital, the Dragon Hospital, the healer hut, basically. And he's he's laying there, and then they tell him to wake up. They tell him that they need to come with him because they need to get to the rainforest. And they thought of a perfect distraction, and it actually works. So they get to the exit, and they're going, what is the meaning of this? Here we go. And it's like, they have an order. They're pretending that they have an order, that they have to go to the rainforest so that Flame could be healed. And that it has to be them, specifically. Because, the Rainwings trust them, and they're like, we have to verify this order. And they're like, okay, so you're gonna let the Skywing die? And they're like, you can go through. So they do that. They find the other Dragonets of Destiny. They find Sunny and Glory and all them. And of course, Sunny and Fate Speaker are really like, they become friends. And they start thinking about battle planning. So they think about sleeping darts, and they have all the Rainwings go invisible by a lake to attack the Nightwings. So, but here's the thing. Starflight thinks this could be my last chance to confess my love to Sunny. So he goes up and he's like, I love you. And she's like, I love you too. Like, it's Starflight's all. That is not what I meant. And he's trying to explain how he feels and all that stuff, and they don't. Sunny just ignores it, and he's like, "You gotta be safe though." So that happens, and they prepare for battle, and they go in. They use their stealth to sneak all the way in, and Glory goes with Starflight and Fate Speaker to go see the Queen, and they find Greatness. And then Greatness is threatened by Glory to let them keep going. So they keep going over to the Queen. And then, to be honest, what really happens is they're trying to convince everyone to go to the forest. Because, they're gonna die if they don't. So here's the thing. Starflight tries saying, well, they can live if they accept Glory as their new queen. And Battle Winner's like, what? No, never. And then a bunch of stuff happens where Starflight pretty much pisses her off so much that she comes out of the lava. And this one line is like, Greatness saying, Mother, get back in the lava. But I always imagine it in a Bluey voice going, Mother, get back in the lava. It's just kind of weird, to be honest. So that happens. She freezes up. They free all of the Rainwings. They go back to the rainforest. But here's the thing. Marosier refuses to accept Glory as the new queen. So he's like, you'll never win. The prophecy is fake. I made it up so that we could win the war. And then they go through all that drama. Sunny fights back. They're all like, oh no, it's fake. So the Dragons of Destiny end up leaving. Marosier gets, he dies. And then it just shows, in the epilogue, it just shows all three of the queens talking about how much they hate the Dragonets, aside from Blaze, who thinks everyone loves her and that she loves everyone. So, book 4 is over. On to the final book, book 5, my favorite. Hello, just wanted to tell you I am currently in the editing stage. There's not a lot of editing, I know, but it takes a while to do, so it's taking a few hours. If you're wondering why my mic sounds weird, I'm using Audible's Out Trick. Right here, we are entering the final book, and the epilogue is, I accidentally started with this one, so I didn't really understand it, but I still really liked it. It's showing 20 years ago, Queen Oasis in the Sandwing Kingdom. It shows, this is how the war started, if you were wondering. It shows, it's just her talking about her daughters, and then running out to find the scavengers who are robbing her. But here's the thing, these scavengers ended up winning and killing her. Then all the sisters fought so much that they started a war. So that's really just what it was. This is just it's of course just a clip back to Marosier saying that the prophecy is fake, everyone going back into the forest, all of the Rainwings, and Glory making a speech to all the Rainwings. And then it's then it's like, Sunny basically gets kidnapped by a few of the Nightwings who won't accept glory. And then they find this thing called the Obsidian Mirror that lets you find out what anyone is singing in the entire world. They find out glory in all of them, like how they found out that it was fake. This part really confused me. So Sunny is just being overwhelmed how she thinks that her friends probably don't really like her too much. This is the reason why Sunny's my favorite Dragonet of Destiny, because I read this first and got to know her before everyone else thought she was like more of a pathetic person, pathetic dragon. So she decides she's gonna steal the Obsidian Mirror. So she steals it, and then she spies on Starflight, basically. Finds out all about it. Finds out a bit about that, and then she says Blister. She finds out about that Blister has a plan. Then the Nightwings wake up, and they're off. Sunny finds an old abandoned scavenger village, but then ignores it for the moment and keeps following the Nightwings. The Nightwings want to send a message to Burn and say that they're willing to trade Sunny for, a bunch, like, I don't really know what they're trying to get, but so yeah, basically, I don't really know what they want in return. I kind of forgot, but eventually they're taken into this place called the Scorpion Den, filled with outlaws and criminals. So Six Claws, I believe, his name is Six Claws. He's the guard. So he sends someone named, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's Qibli. Some people call him Kibli. I will call him Quibbly, because I call him Quibbly. So they send Quibbly to send him in and go over to Thorn, the leader. But Sunny hides the Obsidian Mirror in the sand so that no one finds it. So she gets sent in because she was following them. And she basically gets brought in with Thorn. But Thorn is currently attacking one of the Nightwings for saying that Marcyr and their home is basically dead, destroyed. So one of the Nightwings dies. I won't get too graphic here. So then Sunny explains that she's a Dragonet of Destiny. Oh my god, oh no. Then it's apparently Thorn wants to know about a Nightwing named Stone Mover. And then the Nightwings reply that no one really knows who he was, but he disappeared about 6 or 7 years ago. If anyone makes the joke in the comments, like the Megalopunny thing, you don't want to know what happens to you. I'm kidding, just like, please don't. For everyone's sanity, please don't. And if you think it's funny, it's not, alright? It's not. So, talk about that, and then Thorn brings Sunny in with her into her tent. She talks about the wanted thing for Marcyr, Dune, and Stone Mover. They find out about it, and Sunny explains that Dune found her egg in the sand and brought her in, but then Thorn's like, he didn't find you, he stole you from where he knew I hidden you. And then Sunny's like, oh my god. And then Thorn confesses that Sunny is her daughter. So that's a pretty big moment. And then pretty much it's just a bunch of arguing and stuff. And then Thorn is drawn away by a Dragonbite Viper. And then Quibbly explains to Sunny that a Dragonbite Viper is the most dangerous snake in Pyra, able to kill a dragon with only a single bite. So, and then Sunny finds this like mattress basically that's extremely soft, and Quimbly is like, "Are you seriously falling asleep during from my extremely interesting conversation?" Be like, "No." She falls asleep, wakes up to see Six Claws eating some meat, and then they leave to go so that Sunny can be introduced to the Outclaws, the guards basically. And then a dragon named Addix basically kidnapped Six Claws' daughter named Ostrich, and uses her as like basically as a hostage to get Addix to get Six Claws to give Addix the Sunny, so to take her back to Burn, so that Addix could get back into Burn's stronghold as guard. So Addix takes Sunny in all the way over to, like, so they go over to Burn's stronghold. Sunny is presented by, Burn, the Sandwing sisters' only brother left, pretty much, named, I believe, so his name is Smolder. Smolder brings Sunny into the tower of, like, basically weird things, just a bunch of not really mild things. Then you hear a giant booming voice saying, "Smolder, I hear you down there. I hear your stupid keys clanking." And then apparently he reveals that Scarlet is stuck in Burn's Weirdling Tower. That's where Scarlet was, like I mentioned back in like book 3, yeah. Apparently Smolder has a pet scavenger named Flower. He explains all that. They go up, they find Scarlet. They talk with her. She gets extremely mad because it's Scarlet, and then Sunny is imprisoned. So then Smolder takes Sunny out to, like, have a little fly. Smolder explains what happened the night 20 years ago. And then apparently someone's attacking the stronghold, and it's the Outclaws. It's Sunny's mother. So that happens, but weirdly, Sunny sees peril in the sand. Apparently she's trying to release Scarlet, and yeah, that happens. Peril learns that her mother Kestrel is dead, and Sunny says, "Fine, you can free Scarlet as long as you help my mother take me back." So she does it, and then Thorn is pretty much like rescuing Sunny. They talk to Smolder, but then they get information, and not really information, but like Thorn is wondering about a stuffed Nightwing, and then she demands to see the stuffed Nightwing, and then they find out nothing bad happened. It's nothing bad. They leave. Apparently, Stone Mover was Thorn's mate, but he disappeared one day, and eventually they get into this like messaging room, and Smolder apparently says that there was a letter addressed to Thorn. So they go in, they try looking around a bit, and then Smolder explains the messaging system, and then leaves saying, "I'm sorry, you two," and then he locks the door. Closes and locks the door. So now they have to get out before Burn gets there, because otherwise they're dead. So they search through everything, and then Sunny eventually burns off the lock, and they're able to get through. But Thorn finds the letter addressed to her from Stone stone mover. Says, "Dearest Thorn, I can't keep doing this. I can't use my powers for the Night Wings any longer, because he's an Animus, or I'll lose myself completely. So I'm running away, and I'd like you to come too. Meet me at Jade Mountain. I'll wait for you as long as I have to." So Thorn learns about that, and then it says, "I love you, stone mover," and then they leave, and they run all the way out. Thorn basically like knocks out one of the guys, and then tells Six Claws to come with her and Quibbly. So they run all the way back, find out that Scarlet's free and stuff, and then Sunny leaves to go to Jade Mountain. She gets there and she explores, hears breathing. She finds a dragon basically made of stone. And then apparently it's Stone Mover. So, she talks to him, she stays the night, and then the next day, and that night she has a dream where she is visited by a scavenger with a dream visitor. Another dream visitor. There are only 3 in the entire world. So, but one of them, of course, was lost in the volcano. So, but then the scavenger goes to the scavenger nest that I believe it's the same one that Sunny was at before. I don't really know. So they say their goodbyes, and Sunny leaves to go to the scavenger nest. She finds it, and then thinks, wait, if I could find the Eye of Onyx, I believe it's like, I'm pretty sure it's just what will end the war, which was taken by the scavengers. Maybe I can end the war, even though the prophecy is fake. So they find it, and then, so she convinces the scavengers to give her the dream visitor, and then she takes one of the 2 scavengers that she finds and sends her to get treasure. And then he eventually brings it back, and he's got he's got the treasure, but the Eye of Onyx isn't in there. I'm pretty sure one of the things that were stolen, I think it's called the Louisiat Dragon, is in there though. I don't really know for sure though. So let's figure out what. So yeah. Like I said, they get into the forest. They find everyone, find Starflight, and once they find Starflight, it gets pretty crazy. Actually, I don't know if I said it. I don't really remember. This is another recording at a different time because that's how long this takes. Let's say took. So yeah, basically, Sunny just explaining everything. So yeah, she eventually just finds Glory in the healer's hut, and they have an entire conversation. She explains literally everything, like I am doing now. They do a giant conversation, and then Sunny says that we need to, like, send a message to all the 3 queens, gather them in one place, and decide. And if they won't decide between them, the Sandwings will decide for them, because they're the people watching. They're the people who are actually getting the queen. Sorry, there's like something like peanut butter or something on my freaking on my book. So yeah, and finance, of course, so they're all in on the plan, and then the Talons of Peace are to get to Blister. And, of course, in the Talons of Peace is Riptide trying to find Tsunami. They find each other. And then, of course, they have to explain Viper and Marcyr, how they're dead and stuff, and how they're going to send, like, a messenger to him. For Blaze, they're debating what they're going to do, and then eventually they decide that to get to Burn, they decide they're just going to go for Burn first. So what they do is they start going from the Rainforest Kingdom over to like a Mudwing patrol, so they can send a message to Burn. Right? So, but overnight they see like a weird comet thing in the sky. But then they go up to a mountain to see closer, and they see a small mudwing, a pretty big mudwing patrol, more like. So what happens is they're wandering through the camp, trying to find Queen Moorhen, the queen of the mudwings, and they find Clay's family. They talk about it, and then they have to tell Clay that there's a giant fight going on and the next day, and that it's no taking prisoners, kill every last Icewing unless they all die first. So then they realize, holy crap, we really need to get this message to Burn. So they finally find Queen Moorhen, and they use Sunny uses the dream visitor to visit her in her dream, and she starts talking to Queen Moorhen and convinces her that everything's all fine and they need to send a message to Burn to save everyone. Then they do it to most of the warriors in the camp, and then, they get the message through to everyone. And then at the end they sing this like cool Dragonet song. It's not really that cool, it's like more of an anthem. And then when they get back, it says Blaze isn't coming because Queen Glacier won't let Blaze. Then Sunny decides she's gonna take the dream visitor, and she's gonna do a good old, dream visit to Blaze to convince the delusional golden dragon that she has to come. So they do that, and eventually the night comes, and all the dragons in Pyra that want to see it come to the stronghold and watch. So they all get in, but before that, there's a kind of funny joke, and then the entire point is just ask him nicely, and then they're like, really? That's the plan? That's what Tsunami says to Sunny, and they're like, and then Sunny replies with, "You'd be surprised how effective asking nicely can be. Maybe if you ever tried it, you'd know." And then Glory just yells, "Youch!" So they do that. Sunny makes like a heartwarming speech. Then they all fly down into the arena, and it's just like all of them like in cool flying stances, and it's just Starflight just like on the ground because he can't see anything because he was blinded by the volcano. Alright, here's the end. Getting close. Burn walks in, and she starts, of course, threatening the Dragonets and stuff. And then Blister comes, and then Blaze. And then eventually, and Blister's like, "Well, I already sent you a heartwarming gift, sister." That gift was you. Alright. Smolder, bring me the box. So they do it, they open it. Dragonbite Viper. Because she always wanted one. And then Blister, being the smartass that she is, says, "Oh, didn't I say? I got you too." As another one jumps out of the box and bites onto her foot. And the detail is like, they make it look like one of those Hot Wheels sets. It's so detailed. And, Burn's dead. Like, like dead. Like, no cure possible. So everyone tries to escape, and basically, Sunny's about to get bitten by the Viper, but wham! Clay gets hit by the Viper by slamming in through the way, and everyone believes Clay is gonna die until this flying fire comes through. It's Peril, saying that she is gonna burn all the poison out and save Clay because he's fire resisting because he was born from a blood red egg, and she saves him. She kills one of the Vipers by burning it to death because, I think I forgot to mention, but she has this thing called fire scales that burns whatever she touches, and that's why she doesn't really have any friends, so, aside from the Dragons of Destiny. And apparently, Blister and Blaze are fighting now, like physically claw versus claw fighting. Also, I forgot to mention, Flower, Smolder's scavenger, is one of the ones that killed Oasis, so, yeah. Apparently, she knows something So she drags everyone over to Queen Oasis's grave. She starts digging. They find Queen Oasis's skull, and in it is 2 bags of treasure. In one of them, the Eye of Onyx. The Eye of Onyx is a golden and black emblem that can choose who the queen is, whether they're true of heart or not. So, here's the thing. Blister is really mad that Sunny has it, and mainly because she decides that she's gonna give it to her mother Thorn. But Blister is really pissed off about this, so she goes over, takes it, and because she's not true of heart or, even nice, and she burns to ashes. At least it's not too graphic. It just shows her in a bunch of lightning and then just a bunch of ashes just falling to the ground. So it's like, Blaze survives, and then it shows all of them saying, hey, we did it. We finally did it. Then it clips to the epilogue of them all saying, we should take Jig Mountain and turn it into a school for all Dragonets to make it a place of peace and harmony. And then they think of all the students. They say, well, Webbs can be a history teacher because, he can't really leave or anything. So that happens. Decide all that and then think, you know what? We can make it happen. And that's the end of Arc 1. Hello, just wanted to let you know this video took so long to come out. As you can see on the screen, it took me 3 or 4 days. Thanks for watching.